marching along on a treadmill, running their little legs off, just running just as fast as they can, making that engine just purr right along the road.
In 1981, the Cannonball Run roared onto screens as a chaotic comedy about a cross-country car race filled with speed, celebrities, and absurd humor. Directed by legendary stuntman Hal Needham and starring Burt Reynolds, it became a cult hit that blended real-life outlaw racing with Hollywood excess. But beneath the laughter in supercars lies a maze of shocking, tragic, and bizarre truths few fans ever noticed. This documentary peels back the glittering surface to uncover 21 hidden facts that reveal the danger, controversy, and madness behind the film's creation. From real injuries to improvisations, from reckless stunts to Hollywood regret, this is the Cannonball Run like you've never seen it before. The tragic stunt accident that changed Hollywood safety forever. Behind the film's comedic tone lies one of the darkest tragedies in Hollywood stunt history. On June 25, 1980, during the filming of the Cannonball Run, stuntwoman Heidi Von Beltz was critically injured in a horrific crash. She was riding as a passenger in an Aston Martin during a high-speed stunt when the car, which reportedly had bald tires, faulty brakes, and no seatbelts, collided head-on with a van. The impact broke her neck, leaving her quadriplegic for life. What began as a fun adventure comedy turned into a nightmare that exposed the hidden dangers of film production. Von Beltz later sued the studio and production companies, winning a settlement that led to significant stunt safety reforms, including the mandatory use of seatbelts in all stunt vehicles. While audiences laughed at the chaos on screen, a life was forever changed behind the camera. It's a haunting reminder that beneath every reckless laugh was a very real risk. The outlaw race that inspired the film. The outrageous races depicted in the Cannonball Run weren't fantasy. They were pulled directly from real life. The movie was inspired by the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, an actual illegal cross-country race organized in the 1970s by automotive journalist Brock Yates. Yates conceived the race to protest America's strict 55 miles per hour speed limit. Drivers raced from New York to California, using disguises, fake ambulances, and clever deceptions to evade police. Director Hal Needham and Yates even competed together in a real 1979 run, driving an ambulance, the very same one that would appear in the movie. In essence, the film blurred the line between fact and fiction, turning real defiance into cinematic legend. Every crazy scheme and disguise seen on screen had roots in the rebellious culture of the real-life racers. What audiences thought was pure comedy was actually a Hollywood retelling of one of America's most lawless underground traditions, a race where speed, cunning, and humor collided on open highways. Burt Reynolds regretted making the film. Despite the Cannonball Run becoming one of the highest-grossing movies of 1981, its leading man, Burt Reynolds, later described it as one of the worst decisions of his career. By the early 80s, Reynolds was Hollywood royalty, fresh from hits like Smokey and the Bandit. But behind the fun and fame, he saw the Cannonball Run as a mistake. In interviews years later, Reynolds admitted he barely read the script, treated filming like a paid vacation, and only joined because his friend Hal Needham was directing. Critics slammed the film for being lazy, chaotic, and meaningless, though audiences loved it. Reynolds confessed that the movie's success didn't bring him pride, only a sense that he had traded his craft for comfort. The irony is striking. While fans see it as a nostalgic classic, the star himself saw it as a career misstep born of boredom. Even as the film roared across the box office, Reynolds quietly distanced himself from the chaos that had entertained millions. Chaos on set, when the script was written on the fly. The wild, spontaneous energy of the Cannonball Run wasn't entirely acting. Much of it was pure improvisation. Cast and crew later revealed that there was no finalized script when filming began. Director Hal Needham and writer Brock Yates constantly rewrote scenes on set, sometimes the same morning they were filmed. Actors often arrived on location without knowing what they'd be shooting that day. Reynolds, Dean Martin, and Dom DeLuise frequently ad-libbed entire conversations. Some of the film's funniest moments, including DeLuise's manic superhero alter ego, Captain Chaos, were reportedly invented in the moment. The result was both chaotic and magical. The lack of structure gave the movie its raw humor, but also explains its uneven pacing and disjointed tone. This improvisational style made the Cannonball Run feel more like a road trip party than a scripted film, a freewheeling experiment where spontaneity ruled the highway. The blooper reel that changed movie credits forever. At the end of the Cannonball Run, audiences were treated to something rarely seen in 1981, a blooper reel running alongside the end credits. It featured Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise, and others laughing through failed takes, forgotten lines, and hilarious mishaps. This lighthearted montage might seem commonplace now, but it was one of the first films to do it intentionally. Director Hal Needham, a former stuntman who valued fun on set, wanted audiences to see the laughter behind the chaos. The experiment worked. Viewers stayed through the credits, delighted by the sense that they were part of the cast's off-camera antics. The idea became so popular that later comedies, from Jackie Chan movies to Pixar films, adopted the blooper credit tradition. What began as a playful inside joke became an enduring piece of movie culture, redefining how films said goodbye to their audiences. The Lamborghini Countach was a real supercar with a secret history. Few movie cars are as unforgettable as the black Lamborghini Countach that opens the Cannonball Run. Its roaring engine, sleek shape, and howling speed became the film's visual signature. What many fans never knew, however, is that this was not a prop or replica. It was a real Lamborghini Countach LP 400S, borrowed from a private owner and modified specifically for the film. The car was equipped with extra bodywork, huge fender flares, and spoilers to exaggerate its futuristic look. But underneath all the flash, it was still the genuine article. Its real owner had participated in the actual Cannonball race years earlier, giving the vehicle an authentic legacy few film cars can claim. Because of its starring role, the Countach became a pop culture icon, inspiring posters, toy replicas, and even the childhood dreams of future car enthusiasts. When the film premiered, its appearance was so striking that sales inquiries to Lamborghini reportedly spiked in the United States. The Countach was more than a movie prop. It was the beating heart of the Cannonball Run and remains one of the most famous movie cars of all time. Jackie Chan's breakout cameo that Hollywood almost ignored. Before Jackie Chan became a global superstar, he made a small but unforgettable appearance in the Cannonball Run. Cast as a high-tech racer in a Japanese car, Chan performed his own daring stunts and martial arts sequences. Ironically, his character was listed as Japanese, though Chan is Chinese, reflecting Hollywood's limited understanding of Asian identity at the time. Chan saw the opportunity as a stepping stone into Western cinema. His scenes, which included martial arts and high-speed gadgetry, were originally much longer, but many were trimmed for pacing and tone. Some insiders say that producers worried Chan's intense stunts would distract from the comedy. For Chan, the movie became an unexpected turning point. Western audiences first noticed his unique blend of humor and physical artistry here. Within a few years, he would return to Hollywood with major hits such as Rush Hour and Rumble in the Bronx, becoming one of the most recognized action stars in the world. Although his role in the Cannonball Run was small, it was the spark that helped ignite a career spanning decades. It also stands as a snapshot of a young Jackie Chan right before global fame. The ambulance in the movie was used in a real cannonball race. One of the film's most iconic vehicles is the white Dodge ambulance, driven by Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. What makes it truly special is that it was not just a movie prop. That very same ambulance had been used by director Hal Needham and writer Brock Yates during the 1979 real-life Cannonball race. In that outlaw event, Needham and Yates disguised themselves as paramedics, driving the ambulance across America to avoid police detection. They even equipped it with fake medical gear and a supposed patient in the back to complete the ruse. The stunt worked so well that it inspired the movie's central concept. When filming began, they simply reused the original vehicle, now immortalized on screen. It was a tangible link between Hollywood fiction and the underground speed culture that inspired it. Few props in cinema carry such a direct connection to their real-life origins. To fans, the ambulance is just a funny part of the movie. But, in truth, it was a living piece of outlaw history. The all-star cast turned the set into a celebrity party. The Cannonball Run was less like a movie set and more like a high-speed celebrity reunion. The cast was a who's who of 1970s and early 1980s fame, featuring Burt Reynolds, Roger Moore, Farrah Fawcett, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Mel Tillis, and even NFL star Terry Bradshaw. Critics joked that the production felt more like a vacation for famous friends than a serious film. On set, many of the actors treated filming as a lighthearted break from their demanding careers. There were reports of lavish parties, endless laughter, and unscripted antics that reflected the movie's chaotic spirit. Film critic Roger Ebert famously described the movie as an all-star embarrassment, but audiences saw it differently. The sheer charisma of the cast turned even the weakest jokes into moments of charm. This star-studded gathering captured the last great era of ensemble Hollywood comedies. In a time before superhero franchises and CGI, it was still possible to sell a movie purely on the appeal of its actors. Behind the wheel of every car was a legend, and behind every laugh was the kind of camaraderie that only real friendship can create. The film succeeded commercially despite harsh reviews. Critics may have hated the Cannonball Run, but the box office told a very different story. Released in June 1981, the movie became a massive commercial success, grossing over $72 million in North America alone on a production budget of about $18 million. It ranked as the sixth highest grossing film of that year, outperforming several critically praised competitors. Yet, reviews were brutal. Roger Ebert gave it 1 star, calling it an aimless slapstick mess, and others dismissed it as a film made by people who stopped caring halfway through. On Rotten Tomatoes, it still holds a low rating of around 30%. Despite the negativity, audiences loved it. They came for the cars and the celebrities and the carefree humor that defined the early 1980s. Word of mouth kept it alive, turning it into a cult favorite. In hindsight, the Cannonball Run proved that fun could trump criticism. The film became a box office triumph precisely because it never pretended to be serious. It was fast, loud, and unapologetically ridiculous. And that was exactly what people wanted. The secret helicopter sequence that nearly killed a crew member. One of the most intense and dangerous moments behind the scenes of the Cannonball Run came not from its famous car crashes, but from a seemingly harmless helicopter sequence. During the filming of a high-speed chase scene, a Bell Jet Ranger helicopter was used to capture sweeping aerial shots. To create a dramatic sense of speed, the pilot flew dangerously low, skimming the desert road just feet above the racing vehicles. According to production insiders, a sudden downdraft caused the chopper to dip closer than expected, sending rocks and debris flying in every direction. One crew member operating a ground camera was struck by fragments and narrowly escaped serious injury. Director Hal Needham, a former stuntman himself, ordered the pilot to continue rolling to capture the footage before calling for medical attention. It was a decision that revealed both his commitment to realism and the high-risk filmmaking culture of the early 1980s. The near tragedy was kept quiet at the time to avoid negative press, and the injured technician later returned to work after a brief recovery. The final helicopter sequence remained in the film, immortalizing a moment that nearly ended in disaster, but added unforgettable cinematic adrenaline. The real-life police encounter during filming. During filming, the Cannonball Run crew found themselves living the very chaos their movie portrayed. The film's wild cross-country race scenes were shot on real highways across multiple states, sometimes without fully coordinated permissions. One infamous incident occurred when Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise were filming an unscheduled driving sequence in a high-speed vehicle convoy. In the middle of the take, real highway patrol lights suddenly flashed behind them. A state trooper, unaware a film shoot was in progress, pulled the pair over, demanding to know why they were speeding. Reynolds, ever the quick thinker, stayed in character as J.J. McClure, joking that they were in the middle of the cannonball. The officer, not amused, reportedly threatened to arrest him until director Hal Needham rushed in with paperwork, proving the shoot was legitimate. Even after the misunderstanding was cleared, the officer issued a warning and demanded the crew slow down, calling the situation reckless lunacy. The story became legendary within the production. It perfectly mirrored the film's theme of lawbreakers outsmarting police, except this time the law nearly won. Later, the cast recounted the event in interviews, laughing at how the line between fiction and reality blurred in a way that could only happen on the Cannonball Run. Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin's Drunken performances, Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. brought unmatched charisma to the Cannonball Run. But what few fans realize is that their on-screen chemistry was fueled by more than friendship. By this stage in their careers, both entertainers were living legends who enjoyed the freedom of Hollywood's golden age. However, they were also known for drinking heavily on set. According to crew members, much of Martin's performance as the wisecracking Jamie Blake was delivered while he was intoxicated. Needham later joked that Martin's drunken improvisation made half the film's funniest lines. Sammy Davis Jr., on the other hand, used his exhaustion and mild inebriation to lean into his character's sarcastic wit. Their scenes together were often unscripted, blending humor with real-life banter between Rat Pack members. At times, Needham had to shoot multiple takes because Martin forgot his lines or burst into laughter mid-scene. Yet, instead of hindering production, their unpredictable energy gave the film a sense of authenticity and spontaneous charm that could never have been scripted. In later interviews, both actors admitted that the Cannonball Run was one of the most enjoyable shoots of their careers, precisely because of its unfiltered atmosphere. The laughter was genuine, the mistakes stayed in, and the friendship shone through every frame. The Porsche that was actually a fake. Among the film's star-studded cast, the cars themselves were just as iconic. None drew more admiration than the sleek silver Porsche 935 Turbo featured prominently during the race scenes. But behind the camera, the truth was far less glamorous. Due to limited access to high-end racing cars and a tight budget, the production team built a replica instead of using a genuine Porsche. The vehicle was actually a modified Porsche 911 shell, mounted on a Chevrolet chassis, designed to look authentic from a distance. According to the mechanics who worked on set, the replica was notoriously difficult to handle and lacked the raw speed associated with real Porsche race cars. To sell the illusion, Needham relied heavily on sound effects, dynamic close-ups, and clever camera angles. The fake Porsche was eventually damaged during a stunt and had to be reconstructed multiple times throughout filming. Today, this prop car has become something of a legend among automotive film enthusiasts. Only a handful of production photos remain, but the story has become a testament to how creativity and resourcefulness often drive movie magic. What audiences saw as a high-performance masterpiece was, in reality, an underpowered imitation racing for cinematic glory. Jackie Chan's English dialogue was added post-production. When the Cannonball Run introduced Jackie Chan to American audiences, it marked his first major appearance in a Hollywood film. However, the experience was far from ideal. At the time, Chan spoke very little English, and his dialogue was limited to a few memorized lines. Most of his scenes were later dubbed during post-production, often without his full involvement. The filmmakers also reinterpreted his character as a comic stereotype, turning what Chan saw as a serious role into a source of humor. Years later, Chan admitted that he was shocked when he saw the final cut. He had expected a cool, heroic portrayal, but instead found his character portrayed with exaggerated, tech genius quirks that leaned on outdated cultural cliches. Despite the disappointment, Chan's involvement introduced him to American producers and audiences, laying the groundwork for his later Hollywood breakout. Interestingly, Chan's character was originally supposed to be Chinese, but the script labeled him Japanese to fit the car's branding and the foreign racer trope. This misstep frustrated Chan, who took greater creative control in his later US films to avoid such misrepresentations. In hindsight, the Cannonball Run became both a stepping stone and a learning experience in his international career. The movies banned international versions. While the Cannonball Run became a box office success in the United States, not every country embraced its irreverent humor and reckless stunts. Several international markets either censored or outright banned the film due to its portrayal of dangerous driving and objectification of women. In Sweden and parts of Australia, authorities criticized the movie for glorifying illegal street racing and setting a bad example for young audiences. Broadcast regulators in New Zealand temporarily halted its TV airing, claiming it violated road safety promotion laws. Even more surprisingly, some Middle Eastern countries banned the film over religious and cultural concerns. The movie's portrayal of women in revealing clothing and several jokes about drinking were deemed inappropriate. In a few European television edits, scenes involving overt sexual humor and the nun-disguised subplot were cut entirely. These censorship actions only added to the movie's mystique, fueling underground popularity and cult screenings. Ironically, the controversy helped make the Cannonball Run even more famous internationally. Fans traded imported VHS copies, and the film became a symbol of rebellious fun and cinematic freedom. Decades later, these banned or censored versions have become rare collector's items, offering a glimpse into a time when Hollywood excess still had the power to shock global audiences. Burt Reynolds' secret injury during filming. While Burt Reynolds carried the Cannonball Run with his effortless charm and swagger, few fans realized he was filming under physical pain. Months before production began, Reynolds had suffered a severe jaw injury from an accident on the set of another movie. The incident left him with lingering pain and a restricted diet, but he refused to delay filming. Director Hal Needham, a close friend and former stuntman, adjusted shooting schedules to accommodate Reynolds' condition without letting the studio know. During the film's long driving scenes, Reynolds would often ice his jaw between takes or sip protein shakes instead of eating solid food. His commitment to maintaining the film's energy and comedic timing impressed the cast, even when his discomfort was visible off camera. According to Dom DeLuise, Reynolds' professionalism never wavered, and his ability to joke through the pain became a running theme on set. The injury also contributed to a subtle change in Reynolds' performance style. He spoke more deliberately and relied on physical humor rather than fast dialogue, which ironically made his character more memorable. Few viewers noticed, but behind his signature grin was an actor enduring real agony for the sake of cinematic perfection. The uncredited cameo of Roger Moore's stunt double. Roger Moore's appearance as a suave race participant, parodying his James Bond persona, became one of the Cannonball Run's biggest draws. However, the real secret behind his performance lies in the heavy use of a stunt double. Moore's double, Les Crawford, was not only uncredited but performed many of the film's driving scenes and even a few close-up shots. This decision was made because Moore, known for his careful approach to stunts, preferred to avoid high-speed driving. Crawford's physical resemblance to Moore and skilled mimicry allowed the illusion to remain intact. In fact, some scenes that audiences believe feature Moore behind the wheel actually show Crawford, especially in wide tracking shots. Cast members later admitted that Moore's charm came more from his comedic improvisation than his time behind the wheel. Interestingly, Moore himself joked in interviews that his character played Roger Moore pretending to be Roger Moore, blurring the lines between fiction and reality. The idea to have him essentially spoof himself came from Needham's love for self-referential humor. The uncredited double's work ensured that the illusion of Bond-like smoothness stayed unbroken, proving once again that movie magic often hides in the details audiences never see. The stunt that went horribly wrong but was left in the film. One of the Cannonball Run's most memorable car crashes was not staged exactly as planned. During the filming of a chaotic desert chase, a stunt driver lost control of a Dodge Tradesman ambulance and veered off course, hitting a mound of sand that was not part of the set. The vehicle flipped more violently than expected, causing one of the cameras mounted inside to shatter. The driver was shaken, but escaped with only minor injuries thanks to the roll cage. Rather than scrap the footage, Hal Needham reviewed the film reels and decided to keep the scene. He believed its rawness captured the unpredictability of real racing better than any carefully choreographed stunt. In true Needham fashion, he re-edited the sequence to make it appear intentional. Viewers can still spot the unplanned moment by watching closely during the ambulance chase sequence, when the camera jolts and the vehicle's angle suddenly changes. The genuine crash added a level of realism that resonated with audiences, even if they never knew the danger behind it. For Needham, whose career was built on high-risk stunts, it became another proud example of turning near disaster into cinematic gold. The film's hidden connection to a real illegal race. The movie's premise was not pure fiction. The Cannonball Run was inspired by an actual cross-country event called the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash, a real illegal race from Connecticut to California, organized by journalist Brock Yates in the 1970s. Director Hal Needham and Yates had both participated in the race years earlier, using it as a protest against strict highway speed limits. Their first-hand experiences informed nearly every element of the movie. Many of the on-screen characters were based on real participants. The ambulance Reynolds drives, for example, was modeled after the same type Yates used in the real event to justify speeding under the guise of a medical emergency. The reckless humor and chaotic competition mirrored the genuine law-defying spirit of the underground race. Although the movie exaggerated the event for comedy, it remains surprisingly faithful in tone. Yates himself co-wrote the screenplay and later admitted that the real races were just as crazy as what audiences saw on screen. This authentic foundation gave the film its edge, blending real-world rebellion with Hollywood spectacle. The result was a story rooted in truth, disguised as comedy, and forever linked to one of America's most daring motoring legends. The legacy and moral irony of the Cannonball Run. When the Cannonball Run was released in 1981, critics dismissed it as mindless fun, yet its influence on car culture proved enduring. The movie glorified rebellion, speed, and freedom, inspiring generations of car enthusiasts, and even reviving interest in real-life cross-country races. Ironically, while it celebrated law-breaking drivers, several cast and crew members later admitted they became advocates for road safety. Director Hal Needham, reflecting on his stunt-filled career, publicly cautioned young fans against imitating the film's reckless behavior. The film also sparked a moral debate in Hollywood. Some argued it promoted dangerous driving, while others saw it as a satire of bureaucratic control and conformity. Despite mixed reviews, it became one of the highest-grossing comedies of its decade, largely because audiences loved its unapologetic defiance. Its legacy continues through annual Cannonball-style rallies, fan events, and endless discussions among car lovers. More than 40 years later, the Cannonball Run stands as both a product of its wild era and a cautionary relic of unrestrained filmmaking. Beneath its laughter and chaos lies a fascinating paradox. A movie that glorified breaking the rules, but ended up teaching Hollywood how far was too far. The Cannonball Run was more than a film. It was a reflection of an era when Hollywood dared to blur the line between chaos and comedy, risk and reward. Behind every laugh and outrageous stunt was a team of fearless performers, maverick filmmakers, and world-class racers who turned danger into entertainment. What began as a wild idea inspired by an illegal race became a time capsule of the 1980s, a snapshot of excess, rebellion, and pure cinematic joy. Though critics once dismissed it, the movie's legacy endures through car enthusiasts, comedy lovers, and filmmakers who admire its audacity. Decades later, it remains a cult classic not because it was perfect, but because it was unapologetically real. Every roar of the engine, every near miss, and every laugh still echoes with the spirit of reckless freedom that defined the Cannonball Run.